Winter had stripped the land down to its bones. The road cut through like a scar, narrow and half-buried. The snow packed hard by wind and old wagon wheels that had long since turned back or vanished. The lone cowboy rode slow, not because the horse couldn't go faster, but because speed invited mistakes. Mistakes got men killed. He was 38 years old, though the years showed heavier on his face. His beard was dark with threads of frost. His eyes set deep beneath the brim of a weather-beaten hat. The coat on his shoulders had once been brown. Now it was the color of old dirt and snow melt. A revolver rested low on his hip, worn smooth from years of use. He carried himself like a man who expected trouble and planned to meet it standing. The horse's breath steamed in uneven bursts. She was tired. So was he. He had ridden through towns that winter where the windows were boarded shut and the ground outside the saloons was stained darker than the snow. He had seen men freeze with their hands still wrapped around reins, faces turned skyward like they were waiting for mercy that never came. The frontier did not care about good intentions. It only measured how long you lasted. The cowboy kept his eyes forward. Stopping was how stories began, and stories were dangerous things. Then he saw the fence. It ran crooked beside the road, posts leaning at tired angles, rails buried under white drifts. Beyond it sat a farmhouse crouched low against the wind, gray boards weathered thin, a narrow trail of smoke lifting from the chimney, as if unsure it belonged there. A barn sagged behind it, doors hanging uneven, its roof patched with mismatched planks. He slowed despite himself. That was when the girl appeared. She couldn't have been more than 6 years old. Her hair was light brown, braided loose and slipping free around her face. She wore a red wool dress faded almost to rust, sleeves too long for her arms. Her boots were scuffed and oversized, the toes dusted white. She climbed onto the bottom rail of the fence and leaned forward, gripping the wood with mittened hands. "Mister," she called, her voice bright and fearless in the cold. The cowboy stopped. The horse stamped once, restless. The girl smiled up at him, eyes wide, cheeks pink from the cold. She studied him like he was something rare and curious instead of a stranger with a gun. "Mister," she said again, softer now, "is Santa lost?" The question struck harder than any bullet ever had. Behind her, the farmhouse door opened. A young woman stepped out quickly, no more than 26, her dark hair pulled back tight, her dress plain and worn thin at the elbows. She froze when she saw the cowboy, one hand gripping the doorframe as if it might steady her. "Lily," she said sharply, though fear edged her voice. "Get down." The girl hesitated, then obeyed, climbing back to ground but never taking her eyes off the man on the horse. The cowboy swallowed. His throat felt tight, like the cold had crept inside him. He started, then stopped. Words had never come easy to him, and this one mattered more than he liked. "Santa. Lost." He looked at the road behind him. Empty. Endless. "No," he said finally, his voice rough. Sometimes he just takes longer roads." The girl nodded as if that settled everything. The woman's eyes never left him. The woman introduced herself as Emma. She did not offer her hand. She did not smile. Caution lived in her bones now, the kind learned the hard way. She stood between the cowboy and her daughter, without realizing she had moved. "We don't have anything to trade," she said, "if that's why you stopped." He shook his head. Didn't stop to trade. That was true enough, though it wasn't the whole truth. He dismounted slowly, careful not to startle either of them. Up close, the signs were clearer. The fence was mended with wire and hope. The barn held no animals, only the smell of old hay and damp wood. Emma's hands were raw and red from work that never ended. Lily's coat had been patched twice at the elbow. "You alone out here?" he asked. Emma hesitated. "Just us." The pause told him more than the words. There had been someone else once. Someone who was gone now, claimed by the land or the men who stalked it. The wind picked up, sharp and biting. Lily shivered. Emma followed his gaze and stiffened. Pride flared in her eyes, quick and defensive. "We're managing." He nodded. He had learned not to challenge that kind of statement. "Road's dangerous this time of year," he said. "Bandits been moving south." Emma's face tightened. We keep to ourselves. So did a lot of folks he'd buried. Lily tugged at her mother's sleeve. Mama, he knows about Santa. Emma looked down, something in her expression breaking before she could stop it. She crouched and pulled Lily close, pressing her forehead to the child's hair. Go inside, she whispered. I'll be right there. Lily hesitated, then ran toward the house, turning once to wave at the cowboy before disappearing through the door. Silence settled heavy between them. You shouldn't have stopped, Emma said quietly. He met her gaze. Probably. Then why did you? He didn't answer. He didn't have one that fit. The sky was already dimming, the light thin and gray. Night would come early, and with it the kind of cold that crept into your lungs and refused to leave. You're welcome to pass on, Emma said. We won't trouble you. He looked again at the road, at the way it vanished into the snow, like it had no intention of ever ending. I'll stay till morning, he said. Storm's coming. Emma studied him for a long moment. Then she stepped aside. Just till morning, she said. Inside, the house smelled with smoke and boiled roots. There was one room, clean but bare, a table scarred by use, 2 chairs that didn't match. Lily sat near the fire, clutching a small cloth doll with one button eye missing. The cowboy removed his hat. Lily stared at him openly now, curiosity unrestrained. You don't look like Santa, she said. He almost smiled. The night settled in slow and heavy. Wind pressed against the walls, testing them. The fire popped and hissed. Emma moved quietly, setting aside a thin portion of stew she could barely afford to share. The cowboy ate what he was given without comment. Hunger had taught him gratitude without ceremony. Lily sat cross-legged near him. Do you think Santa knows where we live? She asked. Emma stiffened. Lily. He raised a hand. It's all right. He considered the question. The easy answer would have been a lie dressed like comfort. He had told plenty of those in his life. I think, he said carefully, that Santa finds people who need him most. Lily beamed. Then he'll come. Emma turned away so neither of them could see her face. Later, when Lily slept curled under a thin blanket, the cowboy stood near the window. Moonlight spilled across the snow outside, revealing fresh tracks near the road. Boot prints. Several. His hand dropped to his gun. He could leave now, slip out before dawn. Let the road take him back into its emptiness. He had survived by not getting tangled in other people's hopes. Behind him, Emma spoke softly. You see them, too. He nodded. What will you do? She asked. He thought of the question at the fence, of a child who still believed someone was coming. The road behind him waited. It always would. He set his hat back on his head and checked the cylinder of his revolver. I turned around once already, he said. Seems a waste not to finish the job. Outside, the wind howled harder, and the night leaned in close, listening. The storm arrived without ceremony, rolling in low and mean, pressing its weight against the walls like something alive. Snow rattled against the windows, dry and sharp, and the fire struggled to keep its shape. The cowboy sat with his back to the door, revolver resting across his knees, listening. Listening had kept him alive longer than most. Emma moved carefully around the room, every sound measured. She did not ask questions. She did not thank him. She understood the kind of man who checked his weapon twice, and his exits 3 times. Lily slept near the hearth, her small chest rising and falling, the cloth doll tucked beneath her chin. Outside, a board creaked. The cowboy's eyes lifted. Then came another sound. Not wind, not with settling. Footsteps, cautious but careless enough to be heard by someone who knew what he was listening for. He stood slowly. Emma followed his gaze, her face tightening. They've come before, she whispered. Usually they pass. They won't tonight, he said. The knock came hard, sudden meant to startle. A man's voice followed, thick with confidence. Evening. We saw smoke. The cowboy did not answer. A second voice laughed. Don't be rude now. Emma's hands trembled. Please, she said. My child. The cowboy moved past her, silent as breath. He opened the door and stepped into the storm. 3 men stood outside, coats heavy, hats low. One carried a rifle. Another's hand hovered too close to his belt. The cowboy did not raise his gun. "Road's closed," he said. "Best keep moving." The man with the rifle smiled. "That's so." The shot came fast, loud, final. The man fell backward into the snow, surprise frozen on his face. The second reached for his gun and never finished. The third ran, boots slipping, fear finally louder than greed. The cowboy stood alone, smoke curling from his revolver, heart steady. Inside, Lily woke screaming. Dawn revealed what night had hidden. Blood darkened the snow. Tracks led away toward the hills, deep and hurried. Emma stood at the doorway, her arms wrapped tight around herself. "They'll bring others," she said. "Yes," the cowboy replied. Lily clung to his coat, silent now, eyes too old for her face. "You scared Santa away," she whispered. The words cut deeper than gunfire. "I scared the bad men," he said gently. She nodded, unconvinced. The day passed in preparation. Boards reinforced. Windows covered. What little ammunition he had counted and recounted. Emma worked beside him. Her fear sharpened into resolve. She did not cry. She did not falter. "You don't have to stay," she said once. He drove a nail into the wood. "I know." By afternoon, the storm broke. Clear sky, clean light, too much visibility. They came at dusk. 5 this time. One limping, one smiling. The first shot shattered the window. It splintered. Lily screamed. The cowboy fired back, fast and precise. One fell. Another dropped behind the barn. Emma reloaded for him. Hands steady now. A scream outside. The smell of smoke. The barn caught fire quick. Flames licking upward. Heat fighting the cold. The cowboy ran through gunfire, dragging a man from cover and ending it close and brutal. A bullet caught his side. He stumbled, breath sharp, but stayed upright. When it ended, the snow was torn and blackened, the silence thick with aftermath. The cowboy sank to his knees. Emma held him up. "You stayed," she said. He looked at Lily, safe behind her mother, eyes wide. "I said I would." Night fell quiet this time. The fire burned low. The barn smoldered. The cowboy lay on the table, wound bound tight. Pain pulsed, steady and honest. Lily sat beside him, holding his hand. "Santa didn't come," she said softly. He swallowed. "No." She studied him. "You did." Something in him broke, open then, slow and deep. Outside, the road lay empty. For the first time in years, he did not feel the pull to follow it. The wound burned deep, not sharp but constant, a reminder with every breath that some things, once taken, never return whole. The cowboy sat upright despite it, back against the cabin wall, revolver across his lap. Morning light crept in thin and pale, revealing the ruin the night had left behind. Snow was churned and stained beyond the door. The barn stood half-collapsed, smoke rising weak and gray, like the last breath of something already gone. Emma moved quietly, binding, cleaning, doing what had to be done, because there was no one else to do it. Her hands were steady now in a way they had not been before. Fear had not left her, but had changed shape. It had become purpose. "You should rest," she said. He shook his head. "Not yet." Lily sat close, watching the way children watch storms, with awe and unease tangled together. She did not cry anymore. Something in her had learned the cost of noise. She held the cloth doll in one hand, his fingers in the other. "They'll come again," Emma said. It was not a question. "Yes." "How many?" "Enough." The cowboy pushed himself to his feet, ignoring the way the room tilted. He stepped to the window. The road lay open and empty, stretching white and silent into the hills. It called to him the way it always had. Leave now. Ride hard. Let the land swallow what remained. He could still do it. He always could. Behind him, Lily spoke. "Are you going to go?" He closed his eyes once. "No." Emma exhaled, a sound caught halfway between relief and terror. "You can't fight them all." "I don't have to," he said. "Just long enough." Outside, the wind shifted. Hooves sounded distant, then closer. Shapes appeared on the road. dark against the snow. 5 riders this time, spread wide, cautious now. Men who had learned respect the hard way. The cowboy checked his gun, then another. He placed one in Emma's hands. Only if you have to. She nodded. He knelt in front of Lily. You stay low, no matter what. She nodded too, solemn as a promise. The first shot came before the riders reached the fence. Wood splintered. Glass shattered. The cowboy answered with 2 quick reports. One rider fell. Another veered off. Shouting, smoke filled the air. Snow flew. The world narrowed to sound and motion and resolve. A man charged the door. The cowboy met him head-on. There was no grace left, only force. They fell together, breath tearing from lungs, boots kicking, fists swinging. The cowboy felt the wound tear open but did not slow. He ended it close, final, and rose shaking. Another shot caught him in the shoulder. He staggered but stayed upright. Emma fired once. The sound shocked even her. A rider dropped. The rest broke then, fear finally outweighing vengeance. They fled into the white, carrying their dead and their memory. The cowboy sank to one knee, breath ragged, vision darkening. Lily ran to him before Emma could stop her. You stayed, Lily said, pressing her forehead to his coat. He smiled, faint and tired. I said I would. Days passed, then weeks. The wound closed slowly, stubborn as the man who carried it. Emma learned the land the way widows learned everything else by necessity. Lily laughed again, cautious at first, then free. The barn was rebuilt smaller, stronger. The cowboy did not ride on. Spring came quiet, melting the snow into dark earth. Green pushed through, life insistent and unasked for. One evening, Lily asked him, was Santa ever lost? He thought of the road, of all the miles he had ridden away from things that mattered. No, he said, he just needed a reason to stop. Outside, the road lay empty, and for the first time, it did not call.